Here at Lafayette, we have many students working in different disciplines of the arts. Me and my fellow film students have been honored to have been working on this project in order to spotlight a few creatives on this campus using our own medium, the magic of filmmaking. And so, without further ado, let's get started, shall we? We'll have performances, we'll have music, we'll have poems, anything you can think of, we will provide. And so, let's start with Luca Ferrucci, a philosophy major, a freshman in fact, who will be giving a short monologue to an ode to the performing arts. And so, take it away, Luca.
Well, I took off my bicycle about 5 o'clock p.m. on Wednesday from my dorm. I just kind of felt like going for a ride, so I went up to the top of Cactus Canyon, and I'm not super familiar with that area, so on my way back down, I didn't know where I was going. I just sort of picking the way to go, which now it just makes me feel that God wanted me to find it there, because there was no way I was going to go that way. So I was in some deep-ass sand, and I just wanted to turn around, but for some reason I kept going, and I went along, and there was this rock on the ground, and I drilled it. I went right over the handlebars and ended up on the ground. So I got up, and I was just kind of dusting myself up, and I was looking around, and I noticed something, which ended up to be Matt. And he was just lying there by the fence, and I just thought it was a scarecrow. I was like, Halloween's coming up. I thought it was a Halloween gag, so I didn't think much of it. So I got on my bike and walked around the fence. I was there. It was this buck-type fence, and got closer to him, and I noticed his hair. And that was the major key to me noticing it was a human being, because it was his hair. Because I just thought it was a dummy. Seriously, I even noticed his chest going up and down. I still thought it was a dummy, you know? I thought it was some kind of mechanism. But, and I saw his hair, well, I knew it was a human being.
That was amazing. And from performing arts, we now move on to the visual arts with Ani Brutus.
Hi.
Hi. So, what are we doing right now?
So what are we doing right now? We are going to explore. We're gonna go a little bit around the studio.
Okay.
Yeah. My name is Ani Brutus. I am a current sophomore, class of 2026, and I am a studio art major and architectural studies minor. During the summer of 2023, I got to know a bunch of amazing artists, but also printmakers. And together we worked on creating merch for Art Society, Little Shop of Art, for our fall 2023 Broadway trip. Yes, let's go. You can. Ah! Yeah. In, I believe it was an amazing opportunity because I got to work with other creatives, other printmakers, and in talking to a bunch of other students and seeing their feedback on what they think. It was amazing. It was a really good opportunity. And then just to see people being able to wear that merch. I remember Cormac, our president of Art Society, he wore that to the Broadway trip, and then Corbin Blue signed the t-shirt, and I was like, whoa! It's just really amazing using these resources on campus and then being able to put them into other spaces and share those experiences with other people. It's great. I feel like if I was to talk about any sculpture, it would be the sculpture my most recent sculptural piece that I worked on. Our assignment was to take any of the different sculptural practices and mediums that we worked in the studio. So we have working with plaster and plaster gauze, we have wood, we had wire, and I loved that project so much because I was just experimenting a lot. I was just experiencing the material. When I got to Lafayette, especially being within the artistic communities that I am and have been so far, I realized this is something that I want to pursue. But in being here, I feel like I'm surrounded by so many people who are driven in their craft, who are curious, or also just who want to experience the arts. It's so reaffirming to be around other people who are doing this and are making it into their own, you know?
Paige's interview, take one.
Yeah, so hi, my name is Paige Mathieu. I am a senior film and English double major. I intended to come to Lafayette for an English degree in creative writing because I've always wanted to write. And I took Professor Groo's 101 my first semester, and then after I took the class, I was going into my second semester, still didn't think I was going to be a major. And was trying to figure out what my classes were going to be. And so I ended up taking 103 in the end, and was like, okay, I'm like, Professor Groo's teaching it again. I'm like, I'll take 103 Professor Groo. But I still don't know if I'm going to be a FAMS major. And so what eventually happened is I got to first semester of my sophomore year, and I was like planning for like what those classes were going to look like. And I was like, oh, well, I think I took like TV writing and Spectre of Race. And I was like, okay, I'm like, Paige, we're majoring at this point. And so that's kind of just how it happened. So currently I am in the capstone with Professor Second, and I am working on, I think right now it's like 41 pages of a TV pilot for a television show called Whisk Taking that I kind of invented. My research is primarily based on the romantic comedy as a genre. So looking at what it means to work with the aesthetics of romantic comedy without her ever like finding love or romance, and it actually being more about her gaining self-confidence in herself and finding self-compassion. I think that the FAMS department has a really strong community. I think because we are such a small department, I think we really build relationships in ways that larger departments cannot. I mean, some of my best friends are from the FAMS department, and we hang out after class, we work on each other's passion projects, we try to support each other in any way we can. I mean, talking about this project now, I mean, just like getting to help other FAMS students, I think is something that the FAMS community and the FAMS department really encourages. It's like, how can I give back to the next group who's coming through?
Studio art, film, these students are truly honing their passions, and it's awesome to see that. Speaking of passions, it is my pleasure to introduce Teo, a senior film major and moonlights as a rapper. Today, he will be performing Jungle off his recently released album titled For Those Who Waited, available on Spotify and Apple Music. Ladies and gentlemen, Teo.
I had dreams of being famous, going on tours, walking on stages. Fans scream the lyrics from songs of mine on their playlist. VIP celebrity status and seen as A-list. Step out of the house, everybody knows what my name is. Goat tier, God tier, seen as one of the, hold up, wait. See, people stay not believe in me when I say this. In a field as hard as rapping in general entertainment, I often feel I lack any real potential to make it. Like, what separates me? What makes me different from others? Do I have that it factor? Sometimes I sit back and wonder, can I make this my career? Can I really go get those numbers? Can I get on billboards and stay on it back-to-back summers? Can I really do it? Am I really able? Can I make them listen? Can I show if I get to the table stuff that makes me different? Yeah. I know doubting myself is bad, but even through the doubt, I still choose to fight for what I can have. Cause I be pessimistic, yes, but I be damned if I don't try. I'd rather get there and not want it than never get there and die. And no pressure makes it easy to crumble, but the pressure lets me know that I'm meant to be in this jungle for real. Yeah, 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 yeah. No, 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 no. Yeah, yeah.
And now, let us get back to the film department with Professor Groo.
Okay, so my name is Katherine Groo. I'm an associate professor in film and media studies. I was an undergraduate. I thought that I was going to become a biologist, and I very quickly realized that that was not for me. Anyway, so then I took a little bit of time off and decided that I really missed studying literature and cinema, and I applied to graduate school and then went into graduate school and thought that I was going to continue studying sort of avant-garde literature and film. But then again, I just sort of had this contingent encounter with another professor who just took me on a different path. So then I took another turn and I started studying early and silent era cinema as a graduate student. That's sort of how I started writing my first book. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, long story. Biology to silent film.
Naturally.
Naturally. What's something that I'm proud of? Gosh. I do feel like I am proud of this sort of day-to-day just interactions with students and getting to just, at this really vital time between 18 and 22 years old, students come into my life and I share with them a bunch of stuff that I'm excited about and they may or may not connect with it. And then, it's this ephemeral experience and then they carry on and maybe I've moved them or impacted them in some little way. So, yeah. So the Immersive Arts Lab, it started as this just seed of an idea of what I wanted to do was have just a little video game space. So it started as a video game research lab in which students would be able to study and experiment with video games. Video games touch on a lot of really important concepts in film and media studies, so things related to interactivity and embodiment, different kinds of structures of narrative storytelling. And so I just really wanted students to have some experience with video games. I was also interested in VR. And so we put together a much larger proposal, like this little seed of the video game lab was funded pretty much. And then we started thinking bigger about kind of live interactive performance, different forms of projection, seeing if we could fund VR technology for our students on a larger scale, if we could expand the video game lab to something that was just a sort of much larger horizon of, not just having one console and, a few video games, but something that would actually allow us to teach video games as a standalone course rather than just a little module. So then we received this $500,000 arts and technology grant, and so what started as this little seed of an idea of having a console and some video games has now become a slightly larger project. We have lots of game consoles, we have PCs, we have VR headsets, we have games. We're also moving into thinking about lots of interactive software for interactive performances, for thinking about more experimental theater. And so part of the project of the lab is to introduce students to there are so many interesting indie experimental queer games, and to really allow students to come into the space even if they've never touched a console before, to feel comfortable coming here just asking questions. But we're also planning courses, so there's the potential for lots of collaboration between theater and cinema. I have in mind developing a course that's just about what is immersion. A lot of, critical analytical work that we can do around VR, gaming, and interactivity, and I think it's just a space that film and media studies students need to move into. And so you'll just start seeing it sort of woven into the curriculum as an option for students who want to think about this, who understand media as a broad umbrella that includes, of course, traditional moving images from the 20th century, but also lots of new formations that include VR, that include hybrid performances that involve projection and live performance, but also video games and other immersive forms of moving images.
We have a bright future ahead of us for the film department, and I, for one, can't wait to see all the gaming courses that are going to be in the future. And now, we're going to wrap things up, our little celebration of creatives here on campus, with a poem. Introducing Yanina Chicas, an international affairs and psychology major, with a minor in Latin America and Caribbean studies. Yanina is going to present an original poem for us to hear. And so, let's give a round of applause to Yanina Chicas.
Español. Uno de los idiomas más universal, el idioma que me ayuda a comunicarme con la gente de 33 países. Pero ¿por qué tanto odio hacia el español? Todo suena más poderoso con el español. Hasta los regaños de nuestros parientes. Hija, tu madre lava esos trastes. O las críticas de las tías. Son más dolorosos que 1000 disparos al corazón. You hear that spice in Spanish? That spices away from my tribe's language. Español. Uno de los idiomas más universal que mi gente ni siquiera quería hablar. Spaniards, yes, you, the colonizers of my lovely country. You hate me for the way I speak your language, but strip me from my native tongue, and I better not try to speak it in America, because they'll tell me to speak English. But they seem to forget that their colonizers also stole this country from their native tongues, you see. I get to thinking on how you embarked into a country and managed to discover it and make up stupid ideologies about our beautiful native women, the ones you seem to have adored for their radiant caramel skin, raped them and committed a deadly sin and ignored their cries to stop and left them in their own chagrin. And adding on to that, you make us think we have to fix the mix you created. You make me so frustrated. Make my India come out. Make the little curse words come out. Yes, the ones that hit harder than the chancla my mamita throws. The ones you, Spain, won't accept because we made your language sound way better. We call it a remix, yo. Te continúo hablando español. Even if it's damaged my country's history, y aunque my tribe's language has vanished, you did not manage to erase the beauty and the built-in strength of my ancestors' skin, and as their kin, we ain't only gonna claim the Spanish. Remember, the tribe's heart lives within y va a seguir palpitando, sin importar lo que nos dicen.
Thank you so much, and good night.
Good work, guys.